Well, obviously, Cash hit a big shot for us. I told Dan Horton there, it's the first time I was ever 17 years of college coaching, 5 of high school. And I don't think I've ever been a part of a game winner at the buzzer. So as he let it go, I was thinking about Jared West in West Virginia, Deshaun Butler. I'm thinking, one of these got to fall at some point for the Bearcats. At some point, and for him, obviously he didn't have his best game. He didn't practice all week until he did some light work yesterday, trying to let his shoulder heal. But all he's been doing his career, I was really happy for him. But Alabama's got a really good team. Their guards are better than advertised, in my opinion. We played against a lot of good players in the Big East. Trevor Relaford, Trevor Lacey, and Rodney Cooper are really good players. And guys, they can stack up with anybody. Anybody will play against all year. So very happy with the win. Obviously, we got a lot of areas we got to improve. Namely, offensively, get more ball movement, more assists, get more touches on the ball to stand around too much. And our fast break. They did a good job of keeping us off the break. Some of it was them, some of it was us. Once again, we get a 13-point lead and start looking around. Instead of continue at the pace of play we want to play at for 40 minutes. So somehow I got to make some adjustments in practice. Because if it wasn't for our fast break, I don't know if we'd have scored in the last couple of minutes, because we threw it ahead and scored twice. Even SK's and one was a throw ahead. We had 2 or 3 in a row where we got it out, went right back out, and scored. We can't let teams take that away from us, and we got to trust it. We can't get away from who we are. Get more bench minutes and keep the pace going. And we may have to press to do that. I'm not sure, but that's something I got to look at. But I don't want to get stuck in half-court grinders the way today ended up. But you got to give them a lot of credit now. They're a really good team. So everything that happened to us, they had a lot to do. Now there's some things that we got to get better at. I got to do a better job coaching as well.
Cash just had a lot of some games like this where he'll struggle, but in the end he's really not afraid to take a big shot. How much is that kind of in his DNA that that's sort of he lives for that moment, hitting those kind of shots?
That's one for him, I guess.
Yeah. Is that part of why you like him, I guess, in that spot?
Yeah. Well, I think part of why we give you a real revelation. The reason that coaches win games and the reason Alabama's going to have a great year are the players. So when you got guys can make plays, because when the coaching is equal and everybody's battling for every ball, and you can't just out-athlete the other guy, you can't out-hustle him, it comes down to guys making plays. You saw a lot of guys can play basketball at the guard position out there today and make some real plays off the dribble. So whether it's Cash, Jaquan, SK, those guys all can make plays.
Was that play down?
Titus.
Was that play for him meant to be?
Well, Justin set a great screen, which is what we wanted, and I was hoping he was going to be able to blow by the big guy. But the guy, he did a great job defensively. Cash just made a tough shot on him. The guy couldn't have done a better job. And they stayed at home. SK was waiting in the corner. So we were hoping that Cash could blow by and they'd help off the corner, where he'd either get foul or layup, or he'd get a 3 in the corner, or an open shot. So
the block shot by Justin, if I remember, you put him in the game right before that, right?
Yeah,
you anticipated that they would drive the lane.
Well, Sheck was having. I thought Sheck had never. I don't know if he's ever played 30 minutes. In fact, I know he has, because early on he didn't. He was in foul trouble in Vegas. So I don't know. You could look up. I don't know if he's ever played more than maybe 20 minutes in a game. So Sheck was tired. He's in great shape, but playing in these type of games for 30 minutes is new to him. And he got exploited on their last two field goals for layups. So one thing about Justin, maybe a little small, but he plays bigger than he is. And I knew they weren't going to be able to blow around the corner on him. And I thought he just had more life, and Sheck looked tired.
And if Sheck's tired, he's more likely to foul.
Exactly. You know, and Justin's more adept at defending 15 feet and in. And it was a tough cover for him today, trying to guard their guards out there on the perimeter. That was tough for him. That's not his specialty. He's working on it because he does it every day in our practice, but 15 feet and in, especially in around the rim, he does a pretty good job.
It made you look like a pretty good coach.
Again, players. I didn't block a shot. He made a great play on that.
Have you ever blocked a shot?
I don't think so. On a little kid, maybe. I'm gonna go home and block Sammy's jumper. She's gonna make that.
You had G in there on that last play too. I mean,
yeah.
That's just kind of a nod to his defense, isn't it?
Yeah, I got a lot of faith in G defensively. Yeah. You know, I don't want Cash to get caught in a switch, and that guy to be able to just, you know, outman him physically. You know, G's a lot stronger. And you know, it's like I told him, I got faith in him, but you got to be able to do this without fouling.
Yeah.
You know, there's a time to be aggressive and there's a time to be solid. But you know, he's learning, he's getting better. It's big, you know, it's big for him to be out there at that time.
We say a big moment to put him on that guy in that spot for sure.
Yeah, well, he guards Cash every day, and SK and those guys. So, but you know, at that time. But like I said all year, man, if we're gonna get to where we want to go, our bench, it's got to be a big part. And you know, I didn't get Shaq Thomas in the game today, and I kept wanting to get him in. I was concerned with him. I didn't want to have him and Justin in there. They're tight as two taller guys, and they're going to get beat off the dribbles. You know, this was a tough game for our 6'7", 6'8" guys, guarding their smaller guards off the dribble. You know, hindsight, we maybe could have played a little bit of zone, but I didn't want to let them shoot threes.
Yeah. Anthony Grant said you're the best defensive team in the country.
We try hard. You know, we all. Like, I think his guards are the best in the country. You know, that's what happens. We go way back. So we've talked. You know, I couldn't be happier for the success he's had in his career. So we've come up a long way. You know, about the same age. He looks younger than me, but he's older. But they, you know, when you're looking at another team, it's a great compliment from him, which I appreciate. But you always covet what the other guys got. I thought they did a great job in the second. Talking about defense, I mean, they held us to 33% in the second half, 1 for 7 from the three-point line. Which, you know, we got some guys can score. So I thought they did a great job. I thought their kids played with great toughness. But I knew, you know, I don't care how much Villanova may be struggling. In Madison Square Garden, to beat Villanova 20 is something. You know, and they beat Oregon State, who gave Kansas everything they wanted yesterday in Kansas City. So, you know, Alabama's they're for real. They're not going anywhere all year if them guys stay healthy. They're the best team we've played by far. I can tell you that.
You weren't so sure of that Thursday.
Well, you don't know until you get them in person. You know, competition-wise, who they're playing against and all that type of stuff. But their guards are really, really good. But I was impressed with their toughness today. They hadn't done a great job of rebounding until today. They were even on the year. They played with great toughness today.
Did that feel like a Big East game?
Oh yeah. But I don't want to play 58, 60, 62. You know, my theory is I don't care who you are, what's on your chest. If you can't get to 70, you're going to be life and death against good teams. So we got to get better on the offensive end. You know, we never stop practicing defense. I thought our defense got too soft at times. Allowed them, and we need to score off turnovers. We were averaging 24 points a game off turnovers against Iowa State and Oregon, good teams. You know, today I think we got 16. But we need to get more than that. You know, when we let them run their offense, you can't let big time players get in the comfort zone. They're going to hurt you. So we just got too soft at times. Maybe I didn't play the bench enough. Maybe we got tired. I don't know. But we got to find a way to play at our pace for 40 minutes. And that, you know, we got to get to that point by the time we get to January, that we can play the pace we want against whoever we're playing. And we can't let them dictate a tempo against us.
Anything else?
They did a great job of slowing us down.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.